What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where you can hear the real stories behind the people on social media. And today I'm joined by Julia Weber. And Julia is the person behind Little Miss Ottawa, which is a popular Instagram account here in Canada's nation's capital. And she's recently surpassed 30,000 Instagram followers. Julia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. So kind of the easiest place to start is, why did you start Little Miss Ottawa?
So I went to school for marketing at Carleton University, and while I was there, I did an exchange to Australia, and I was doing something every day, making the most of my time there. So when I came back, I thought, why don't I start exploring Ottawa more as a traveler instead of always waiting for my next destination? So I started anonymously posting about Ottawa, sharing all the resources, and it really started as a challenge to myself to get out more and explore.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. So how long were you in Australia for?
6 months.
Okay. And were you doing school while you were there as well?
Yeah, I was doing school. So it's one of those experiences totally changed my life. And I don't think I would have even started this account if I hadn't gone. It made such an impact on me.
Okay. And then so one of the things with your Instagram account that really kind of just jumps off the page for me when I first see it is the name. I think it's just the perfect name. So how did you kind of come up with it?
I think it was just something catchy. I thought, I think the hardest thing when you're doing stuff online is the username. And I just thought it stood out. And even when I started posting, everyone's like, who is Little Miss Ottawa? And it would kind of encourage them to check out my account and explore what I'd been posting.
Mm-hmm. And then so kind of when you started the account, the intent was to kind of just see Ottawa as a tourist more so, but was there ever an intention to really try and grow it, or are you just doing it kind of for fun?
I was just doing it for fun. It was 100% a passion project. But even right from the beginning, a lot of people, I think it grew so much because they could identify with it. So many people living in Ottawa who, I think no matter where you live in the world, it's so easy to kind of take advantage of your hometown and always wish I want to go to Spain or I want to live in Australia. So I think it was kind of a refreshing perspective. And since it was a challenge to myself, I was really active in getting out there.
Mm-hmm. And it's how much traction did it get right away? Because I'm pretty sure from everything I kind of saw, I wasn't following you back then, obviously, but from what I've seen, it gained some steam pretty quick, and you had a guest blog within your first week, I think, right?
Yeah, when I first started out, even the first week, I remember Ottawa Tourism reaching out and asked if I wanted to do an Instagram takeover. And then I started guest blogging for a group called Wing D. Mm-hmm. And then a few years later, I got to be a contributor to their book, An Insider's Guide to Canada's Capital. And it's just kind of tumbleweeded from there.
So that Instagram takeover then with Ottawa Tourism, they just found your account pretty much right away and asked you to do a takeover?
Yeah.
And then so for context for everyone, that was 2014, right, when you started the account?
Yep.
Yeah. So did that takeover really boost your following pretty much right away?
I can't remember. It probably did. I feel anytime you're featured by a big account, it brings people over to you. And then I quickly got into the Instagram group of Ottawa, IGers Ottawa. Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy because all these people started reaching out and they're telling me about these meetups. So I'm going to these Instagram meetups. I'm meeting even more people online in person. And then we're connecting online. It just kept expanding.
Mm-hmm. And then so I think I saw that you went to a bunch of meetups when you first started the account.
Yeah.
I thought the reason behind it was really cool. Can you kind of talk about that? It was the photography meetups.
Yeah, it was really cool because, so I started with my iPhone. Everything is self-taught, all the photography. I bought a camera about a year in. So I would go to these Instagram meetups with my iPhone and a few others, but most people had cameras. And everybody was so nice and welcoming. And I remember talking to someone and I was like, oh, maybe I should buy a camera. And he's like, no, it's good. It doesn't matter what tool you have. You're developing your eye. And it's so true because I was able to do rule of thirds and learn all that stuff, the framing. But everyone's just so including. And I was like, this is such a cool group.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of to that point then of starting with your iPhone. I feel a big thing for a lot of people is gear. I need to have the best camera, the best this. So as someone that started with their iPhone and was successful with their iPhone, what is your kind of feeling when it comes to getting the newest and best camera to get better photos?
I think feeling the need to have the most up-to-date gear can be a bit of a distraction, and I've been guilty of it as well. But I think if you can be resourceful and use the tools that you have. The other thing too, I could have started with my iPhone, it could have bombed. I mean, since it was a passion project, I would have continued. But if you're on there for business, you can trial things out without having to make that heavy investment.
Mm-hmm. And then at the beginning too, and for a long time, you didn't show your face on the account at all.
Yep.
So why did you decide that in the beginning?
I did that because I wanted to stay anonymous because I wanted to give the account the space to grow on its own. It kind of gave me the creative freedom to post whatever I wanted, and since it was becoming a resource for people, I didn't want anyone to look at my account and say, "Oh, Julie is doing that again." I still want it to be a resource that people can look to and see themselves in the photo. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want like myself to take away from the content. And then I ended up doing my grand reveal in January because it was about time. It was getting harder and harder to keep it a secret. And a friend told me, he said, it's like people know what kind of content to expect from you. So it's okay to reveal yourself. Like it's still going to be the same content, but it's okay if they know who's behind it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's helped people build even more of a connection with me because they know who's behind it. And it's been really cool being around town and people will approach me and say they follow along.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's like now that people are able to connect with you better, but in the beginning, do you think that mystery almost of like who's behind this account helped you kind of grow at the beginning?
I think so. I have so many stories of people like not knowing it was me, even close friends. And then another person would say, "That's Julia." For example, I was posting about my family's dog, and my sister's friend's mom, I guess, was like, "Oh, like look at this cute dog," and the sister's friend was like, "Oh, that's Shannon's dog, my sister." And they're like, "No, it's Little Miss Ottawa's," and it's like, "No, it's a family dog," but nobody knew.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So then, like when you went to meetups and stuff, and everyone's taking photos, was it kind of hard to keep yourself out of photos or keep yourself from being tagged in photos?
Yeah, it was. Like I would go to events and tell people who I was, but I was really strict on not being in photos, and. Mm-hmm. It also got to the point too, it would be confusing for people. They didn't know, like, can I post a photo of you? Can I not? Like, I've seen a few photos online, and like there was a big divide between Julia Weber and Little Miss Ottawa. So when they revealed, I'm like, I'm going to close a little bit of that gap.
Yeah. And so do you remember the first time like a photo got posted of you as like being Little Miss Ottawa? Or is it like a big deal for you to find out, kind of like be tagged in a photo?
It wasn't really a big deal because I think it was probably like another blogger's account. It wasn't too big of a deal, but when I did my grand reveal on my account, it just blew up. Like I was really scared. I didn't know how. Like I'm like, is this going to change people's opinions of the account? But it just blew up. So many people commented like, "Thank you so much for all the resources that you share. Like because of you, I had this adventure, and like those are the best comments I can get."
Mm-hmm. And you talk about how like people will come up to you now. So do you remember the first time that someone came up to you and was like, "Oh my God, I follow your account"?
So the first time was before I revealed myself.
Really?
I was at I can't remember the name of it, but it was some kind of event where you're like trying drinks, trying food. Mm-hmm. And these two girls approached me and they're like, "Are you Little Miss Ottawa?" Because I think they might have saw a picture of me on someone else's account, but they saw that I checked in at the event. So they're like, "We weren't sure if it was you." I was like, "That's really cool that you guys came over because you didn't know it couldn't have been me."
Yeah.
But
it's like, what's that feeling like when someone comes up to you
it's really cool, and like hearing each person's individual experience. I have a partnership with Jim K. Ford, so I drive around one of their cars. I have their logo and my logo, and it's at an apple orchard. I think it was in Metcalfe, and a follower came up to me. He was from Brazil, had moved to Ottawa a year ago, and because he saw the car, he approached me. He's like, "Hey, like I've been following you for the last year. Thank you so much. Like you've helped me kind of settle into Ottawa and see what there is to do." I'm like, an apple orchard of all places. This is cool.
Yeah. And so like, I kind of talk about the car too.
Yeah.
It's like, how did you get in the position where you were given basically a free car because of your Instagram? Like, how did that all come to be?
So I was chosen to be one of the, I don't like the word influencer, but like one of the content creators, I guess you could say, to promote the Ford EcoSport. It was doing a cross Canada tour. So I did Halifax to PEI. And the woman who recruited me for that campaign was so impressed with my work. She's like, "You hit everything. Like you're top for engagement, messaging, all that stuff." So she sent my information to all the Ford dealerships in Ottawa. And then Jim K. Ford reached out and we talked about the partnership, and the car just worked because it makes everything so accessible. I'm able to do more adventures, and they're just a really cool dealership that's open to doing new things, because I find companies in Ottawa can be a little bit slower to catch on to this. So it's been amazing working with them, and also hearing other people's stories about going to the dealership. and like the cars they've chosen and the adventures they go on. Mm-hmm. So it's been pretty cool.
But then at the time you would have gotten that car, you still would have been anonymous, right?
Yeah, it was.
So is it kind of like almost like a precursor to doing the face reveal of having the logo on the car and then you in the car all the time?
I think so. Like it's like because I'm not a big showy person. I think that's also why I reveal myself. So it's weird sometimes. Like people are looking and I'm like, oh, like do I wave? What do I do? But I think that speaks to them too, to also take the chance on me because I hadn't revealed. Mm-hmm. But getting creative in the posting. So there's a picture of the dog in it or on road trips.
Yeah. But when you did finally kind of do that face reveal in January, was there almost like a sense of relief now? You're like, I don't have to hide anymore?
Yeah, it was, I think both because I was worried I didn't know which way it would go. So to hear the feedback and everyone being so happy, and people are commenting too, like, we really enjoy seeing the person behind it, like, post more like this. And I would never want it to take over my feed, but like sprinkle it in every once in a while. Mm-hmm. And I think it opened the door to more collaborations because people knew who I was. Like before, they were probably a little scared. Like we like her content, but we don't really know who she is.
Yeah, and I was actually going to ask that too. It was about still not posting yourself very often. Like you said, you kind of sprinkle it in once in a while. I think it's only been like a couple times since January that you've posted.
Yeah.
Is that just like you said, because you don't really want to take over your feed? You kind of want to keep it the way that it was before?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. I wouldn't want it to take over my feed because I still really want people to go to my account or to my website and have the resources for their own adventures. So I've been like, I don't even really post that many personal details about myself because I just don't want to take away from the resource aspect. And then also because I've been doing it one way for so long, it's weird for me to be in front of the camera. I'm so comfortable being behind it. So it's also an exercise of me getting out of my comfort zone, which is something I try and do a lot.
Mm-hmm. And then it's like I said, you started the account in 2014, I think.
Yeah.
So you're closing on 5 years. I think 5 years will be August 28th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it will be.
Yeah. So what are some things you've done over the last 5 years that have helped you grow your account to that over 30,000 follower mark you're at now?
So a big thing is, so I also have social media clients of my own. Mm-hmm. I help build their own accounts, and I do social media workshops. And the big thing that I always say is it's a conversation. A lot of people just put content out there and then that's it. But I was really good to go out and comment on other people's and start conversations. I'll usually ask a question on my accounts, like, where's your favorite place to go swimming? Things like that. So it's engaging. People want to be a part of it. Especially at the beginning, being reposted on a bigger account like Explore Canada or Auto Tourism really helps because people are looking for similar content, and especially Ottawa as a city has been growing so much in recent years. That's helped my account. I have a lot of people reach out for advice on where to live, like things to do while they're visiting, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. About 2 years ago, I started a website. That's helped a lot as well because I think it's really important that you diversify. Like Instagram is great, but it's not going to be the thing for forever. Like Facebook is slowly dying off. Yeah. So having multiple places that people can find me, and then also the website, I'm able to put longer content that people can read. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people have been finding me through the website, then going to Instagram. I suppose that Instagram to website's kind of a cycle. Yeah.
There's actually a couple things I want to unpack, and from that a little bit is the first one being reposted. Yeah. Do you think that still works today? Because I've heard people say like it really worked like 2-3 years ago getting reposted by these big accounts, and now not so much.
So I have like a bit of a different outlook on being reposted now. So if it's a bit like anytime Ottawa Tourism reposts me, like accounts like that, I'm like, this is win. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot more like repost accounts that are popping up now, and a lot of people are thanking them for the features. But my problem with it is that they're actually just trying to use your content to grow their account. Mm-hmm. And then if someone reposts from their account, the credit's lost on your page. I've had a few problems with like sketchy accounts reposting my content, and I don't want that because I don't want it to be seen as me endorsing them. Like I wouldn't want anyone to buy their services because they think that I'm using it. So I'm pretty strict on the repost accounts, and I've had some people fight me back on it. They're like, everyone always says thank you, like basically saying I'm ungrateful, but like, I don't know who your account is. I don't know who's behind it. I don't know what you're trying to do with it. We've never even talked.
Yeah.
So,
and just like on the note of like credit being lost once it gets reposted for like the second time, that's funny because like I recently had Kishan Mistry on the podcast and he was talking about how like, because I asked him about crediting and kind of where he is like as a photographer too, and he said that like obviously it's great, but especially when it comes to like celebrities and stuff, you'll always see people being like, hey, credit the photographer behind this, and like people start their own campaigns, but he'll be like, sometimes the celebrities don't even know, like they'll just like see it reposted, that was reposted and reposted again by another fan account, and they just take it from the fan account, they don't even know. Right?
That's the thing. It's like as it goes down the chain, and the thing is too, it's against like, it's okay to repost photos if you ask for permission, because if you don't, it's against Instagram's rules and terms, because you're taking someone's copyright, and that's people have argued me on that. I'm like, this is my photo, I own it. Like, when you upload to Instagram, you're agreeing to those terms. I mean, some people, they do appreciate just the exposure getting out there, but it is, I think as you get bigger in managing your brand, you want to be careful where your content's going, and you don't want to be seen as endorsing something you wouldn't.
Yeah, and then so what about guest blogging? Because it's a little bit different. Like, it's not like someone's just reposting your content. You're producing content for someone else, but having your name attached to it. Has that helped you grow as well?
I don't really think it helped me grow. To be honest, I wish that I had just created my own website right away. Because at first, like, it was really great to get out there, but I could have put all that effort into my own website and been building it from the get-go.
And so then why did you eventually start your website? I think you're like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like, why did you start it?
I wanted to be able to provide longer content, like the summer bucket list, seasonal bucket list, things like that. I have an event page. Like, I wouldn't be able to do that on Instagram. And if my Instagram got shut down tomorrow, like, people could still find me. Yeah,
that's cool. So, like, and you said that more people will find your Instagram through the blog than vice versa. But you think it'd be the other way, right?
I think, yeah, it's kind of like a cycle. So I guess it depends on what people are searching for online, if they come to my website or not. But it's kind of cool. It's like they both feed into each other.
Yeah. It's like, how often do you post like the long form blog posts?
In the perfect world, it would be once a week, but they take, like, some could take me a full day to write. Like, I do my research, promote things that I would use myself or would be interested in doing. So now that it's been 2 years, I've been able to build on those blog posts and like edit them each year and be like, okay, here's the new summer bucket list. But it's probably like 2 months right now if you average it out.
Okay. And then like 2019, is blogging still like a big part of your overall strategy? Because I feel like I don't read blogs very often, but maybe a lot of people do. Like, how have you noticed over the last 2 years, is it still trending in a positive way?
Yeah, it's been growing rapidly. I wasn't even able to put that much effort into it last year so I've been working officially for myself for 1.5 years. So now I've been able to like really hone in on it and like put a lot of effort in, and people are reading them and like sharing them, which is good. I found Facebook shares has been good for the blog posts, because I find Facebook just reach in general has been going down. So it's nice to see it when they do well.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram reach I found has gone down. Like Instagram too.
Yeah, Instagram, I haven't found so much of a difference. I know a lot of people are complaining about the algorithm, but the way I see it is if my post doesn't reach a lot of people, it's just because people aren't interested in it. So they could probably pivot the strategy.
That's cool, because I feel like a lot of people, I hear so many people complain about the algorithm, so it's kind of cool to hear you kind of take that onus almost onto yourself if the content doesn't perform as well.
Because it's like, the more engagement you get in that first hour, the farther it'll go. So if it's bombing in the first hour, it's because people don't like it. But the thing is too, I think too many people are letting the algorithm get in the way of their content, because then when you start basing all your content based on likes, you're getting the same posts over and over again. Like, you need to still be able to get outside of that box. So some content might not have done as well, but I'll still post it because it's a resource that like somebody's going to find value from.
And it's like, what is your content strategy right now? Like, how many days a week are you posting? Is there a certain time of day?
I usually post at night.
Okay.
I find, like, the way I see it, in the summertime, everybody's out enjoying the sun during the day, so you're going to want to post at night when it's dark, when people are finally going back to their house or winding down for bed. I post a few times a week. If sometimes I'll just take a break. I won't post anything because I'd rather, like, I put a lot of effort into captions. It takes a long time in the photos instead of feeling the need to post something.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then have you played around with scheduling on Instagram at all? Facebook recently released in their creator studio, you can link your Instagram account to your Facebook page and schedule posts.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I haven't. So for clients, I will.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have like the month-long strategy that I'll plan out. But for my own account, I don't. I usually, for the most part, I'll do the post the day of, unless it's like a collaboration that has to be posted that day. Because I don't want to post a swimming post when it's thunderstorming out.
Yeah. And it's like, what about like producing the content? How often are you going out to different places and really taking the photos and all that? Like, how often do you usually do that?
I'll go out for big photo walks. Like, I'll go for 3 hours and just take photos. It's usually weather dependent because I'll have seasonal bucket lists in my head and be like, okay, I need to go get these shots. I need to go do this. But I feel like I'm always kind of looking for content. Like, I will post phone photos still if that's all I had on me.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, do you ever feel like you're going to run out of things to do in Ottawa? Is that ever a worry for you?
No, I'm having trouble catching up with everything.
Okay, that's good.
I think there's so much going on, which is awesome. So I'm being a lot more selective on what I'm going to.
Yeah.
But the event page is great because I just want it to be a resource that people can go to and find things they're having that day.
And then so the event page is a page on your website then where you list kind of everything going on in Ottawa on a calendar basically.
Yeah. And even that, like, I try and put as much as I can into it, but there's always new things popping up.
Yeah. And then a big thing is community. So how have you kind of developed a strong connection with your audience over the last 2 years? Has it been like the replying to people like you said, or is there anything else you're doing as well?
Yeah, I think just having those conversations, like posting on other people's photos and things like that, replying to people. A lot of people will be like, hey, I'm in Ottawa this weekend, what should I do? Or my mom's coming to visit, what should I do? And just letting people know that you can message me and we can have that conversation. I'm happy to give recommendations. But then I think also just bonding over Ottawa and travel. So I'll post like things to do in Ottawa as a traveler, but then also abroad. And because people know what kind of content I post about Ottawa, they're interested in the travel recommendations as well.
Yeah. And it's like, how many like DMs would you say you're getting a day?
Oh, that's hard. Because I check it so many times throughout the day. I would say, like minimum 30.
Okay.
I'll probably say.
Yeah. And do you reply to pretty much every DM?
Pretty much everyone. It's hard because there's a lot that go to the request folder and I don't always see them right away. But I try to as soon as I can.
It's like, how much time would you say that you're kind of spending on Instagram in a day or a week, just like to kind of give context?
Hours in a week. This is so embarrassing, but because I do it for clients as well. But last week, because I was doing 2 press trips in a row, my average time spent on my phone was 6 hours.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's
But I don't think people realize that, right? Because I feel like people are like, oh, you're big on Instagram, it takes like 2 seconds, but it takes a lot of time to really
so
do
much
that.
Time. I try and stray away from live posting because I want some time to think about what I'm posting. I don't want to just keep shooting stuff off, but also I want to still stay in the moment. And I hope that when people take my recommendations, they do it as well. Like I'll take a bunch of photos and then post them after. Because if I'm glued to my phone, I can't fully be present.
Yeah, that's fair. And then I want to ask your opinion about, or not your opinion, I want you to kind of explain this equation. And it's community equals experience and connection. So you talked about that in a talk you gave at Creative Mornings. Can you kind of break that down a little bit, just kind of like the quick notes on what that equation is and how you kind of came up with it?
Yeah. So when you, like, if I take my exchange, for example, I made so many friends there that I'm bonded with for life because we were all going through the exact same experience together. And then we just were able to quickly build that connection, supporting each other, helping each other go through the experience. So like that's a community, but also your university friends, you're going through the same experience, and you're all connecting over that chunk of your life. And I feel like you have many chunks. Like there's the Instagram community that I'm going out to events with, and we're able to connect over Instagram and photography. So if you are trying to build a community, like if you can have those 2 things, like people need to be able to connect with you somehow. So I haven't had any like Little Miss Ottawa specific meetups, but the experience that they're having, if I've made a recommendation they're following, then that's the experience there. And then the connection is Ottawa, travel, talking to each other.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then you talked about earlier, like how you had that collaboration with the company as well. So I kind of want to talk from a high level, like how has it been collabing with companies, and do you remember your first collaboration?
Ooh, I don't. My first collaboration, I guess it was Ottawa Tourism.
Okay, I guess
with my
so,
takeover.
Yeah.
Probably early on was Alt Hotel. So in their lobby, they have a bunch of us from Ottawa have photos up in their lobby.
Okay.
Yeah, City Style is another one. So, and we did takeovers on there, or on our own accounts of things to do, and promoted the new hotel launch.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like very early on. I was like so honored to be chosen for that.
Yeah. So now, like, if you could ballpark roughly, how many companies do you think you've worked with in the last 5 years?
That's hard. Like, I would say over 100 easily. Like,
really?
There's some. I'm lucky now that I have the opportunity to work with people on a sponsored basis, but there's also so many free
Mm-hmm.
things that I was doing before that.
So, like, from your experience, and what are some like positive things that make a positive experience when you're collaborating with the company, and what makes like a negative experience or a poor experience?
So I guess number one, I'm really strict on the partnerships I'll take on. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd never take on something that I don't use or would recommend or pay for myself. So before I revealed myself, I had makeup companies reach out. I was like, this makes no sense. Like, it was bad on their part too, because people wouldn't take my advice on a makeup brand, because they don't know what I look like, how I use it. TELUS is a really incredible brand to work with. Just all the initiatives that they're doing are really good for the community, and they're also just so open to ideas. Like, basically whatever I want to do, we can run with it. The brands that put too many expectations, or they give too many specifications on how they want to see the photos or how they see it on your account, I don't like that, because it doesn't make it as authentic. That's what you want. You want it to be authentic, like a friend giving a friend a recommendation.
Yeah, that's cool. And then, so like, over time, like, I want to talk about some key collaborations that you had. One was the TELUS one. So how did that kind of come to be?
That, a few years ago, someone reached out. They were looking to work with someone in the Ottawa market, and he just loved my account. He loved what I was doing, and also how I was anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
So did some collaborations with them, and then I made it onto their TELUS partner team. So that's just been incredible, because I think they're a company that's believed in my account right from the beginning, and I also just love everything that they're doing, so it's a really good synergy there.
Mm-hmm. And there's another one, like you mentioned earlier, how people reach out to you all the time looking for places like to live in the city. So, and you partnered with somebody that's a realtor or something like that, right?
Yeah, I partnered with Ray Otten Real Estate from Ottawa Properties.
So, like, how does that collaboration work? Because I don't think I've seen, like, maybe I've missed it, but I don't think I've seen a post of you like collaborating with them. Have you?
It was I did the blog post, so it was like
Okay.
best of Canada, best of Westboro, and then I did the Instagram post as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the best of it, like, he answered all the questions on the area, and then like all the things to do in the area if you were looking to move there. And then we also did a general guide of just the Ottawa real estate market, because I know it's something that me and my friends are speaking about as well, and I didn't have the proper advice to be able to give people answers on that.
Mm-hmm.
People will message me and say, should I move to Ottawa? I'm like, I love it, but I can't make that decision for you.
Yeah, I think that's really cool though, that like you've partnered with a realtor, because I feel like I saw that and I was like, that's so cool. That makes so much sense though, right? Because like I never would have thought of that, but like that's just a really cool collaboration. Just cool on his part too to think. Like, did you reach out to him or did he reach out to you first?
They reached out to me first, and then I thought it was awesome, because I was having all these questions and I still get them. So now when someone messaged me, I can say, hey, you should check out this guide first. And then, like, he knows so much. He's been working in real estate for so long, so he has a lot of knowledge that he can share with them.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple times that you've gone on these different press tours.
Yeah.
So what happens on these press tours? Do you get like flown out by a company to do something? Like, how does that look?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mix. So I just recently in St. John, and then I did Ontario Highlands. So they contacted me, and then they'll send the itinerary and what they're trying to promote. So St. John wanted more people from Ottawa, because it's a really big market for them. And then Ontario Highlands, like, right outside of Ottawa, so it's a great spot for a road trip.
Yeah.
So it's always fun working with the tourism groups because I feel like that ties in so well with what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's like you went on a press trip to Asia too, right?
Yeah, I was with Free and Easy Traveler.
Okay. It's like what? So basically, like you just went there and just did all these different excursions and stuff on behalf of the company and just posted it to your account. Is that pretty much how that works?
Yeah. So before I go on a press trip, there's always like what they'll provide and what I'm responsible for. So I did takeovers, some guest posts, posts on my own account. That was really cool too because when I was in Australia, I went to Thailand. So it was my first big destination that I got to revisit, and then added on a few other countries.
Yeah. I've seen like two like within Ottawa specifically for the most part, but when you like not necessarily co-sign a company, but when you talk about going somewhere or doing something, like that's like a win for the company. Like when I searched up Little Miss Ottawa, something came up. I think it was from an axe throwing company in Ottawa.
Oh yeah.
And like put a blog post out that they were one of the top winter like destinations in the city.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's like how have you built that reputation then with these brands? Where like if you kind of like co-sign or like give your recommendation for a spot, like that's a really good thing that they're going to just like brag to everyone else is why they should come here.
Yeah.
How have you built that not necessarily relationship, but that reputation within the city then with these companies?
I think a big part of it is word of mouth. So a lot of people, maybe their friends follow me and then they're talking like, we want to do this campaign. And someone's like, well, why don't you work with Little Miss Ottawa? I had a message one time in my DMs. This guy's like, yeah, like anytime we want to do something in Ottawa, we're always like, oh, well, Little Miss Ottawa recommended it. So it's like the check mark. It's crazy because I got a campaign once with the Mexico Tourism Board. They were doing for Canada 150, it was the Ottawa Welcomes the World event, so it was Mexico, and I posted a photo from Turkey just as like, I really enjoyed Turkey, here's what I did there. They saw that and they're like, well, do you want to post about Mexico as well? So you never know who's watching your content. So that was an important lesson as well, to just keep doing you, keep putting out good content, things that you're passionate about, and you never know who's looking.
So did you go to Mexico then because of that?
Oh, I would love to, if they want to send me.
Yeah. So like, but then when you posted about Mexico, was that like, had you been there beforehand and you were posting, or did you?
So I'd never been there, but it is a destination I would love to experience, and it was really cool that we were able to celebrate Mexican culture in Ottawa. Ottawa's great. We have so many like different pockets, like different restaurants, cultural places, cultural festivals, so you can really kind of travel through Ottawa. And
I was gonna ask you like why companies partner with you that are outside of Ottawa, but you kind of answered it being like if they're trying to get into the Ottawa market, like you offer such a targeted audience for them. It's like anyone that really wants to break into this market, like you're the ideal person to work with because people in Ottawa or that are moving to Ottawa follow you, right? Like that's for the most part.
Yeah, it's but yeah, anyone who's like Ottawa's a focus. The other thing too is that I can't remember what event it is, but like everyone always says Ottawa's a government town, but it should actually be seen as a good thing because that means everybody has stable income, and a lot of people in the government have their side hustles as well. So it's a good market to reach out to. And
one thing I was curious about, and I had a similar conversation with Consumed by Carlo.
Okay.
With your account, Ottawa's in the name. You're Little Miss Ottawa. So do you feel like you're boxed in a little bit to this city?
A little bit. Like, I think maybe brands don't realize right away, like how like we have like this hub of Ottawa people. Like it could be a good collaboration. Like a lot of tourism groups are starting to focus more on Ottawa. It used to only be Toronto and Montreal. But I think it also helped build the account. And it's also like Ottawa is my home base. Like I will always come back here. So it kind of unites us all. And I think a lot of people in Ottawa do like to travel.
Yeah. So then like, do you think that just by being Ottawa specific with Ottawa as your home base, do you think that's going to limit how big you could truly grow the account? Do you think like maybe?
Potentially. I guess it's crazy too because I never, like, if you asked me 5 years ago, like, what are you going to be doing? I would have never ever said this. Like, I didn't even realize that was a path. But I'm not too worried about it. Like, I think a lot of people get fixated on the number or like where they're headed next. But I think it's also important to kind of appreciate what you have and focus on that.
Yeah, that's fair. So it's like, what are some pros then to being Ottawa specific?
Pros. That's like if someone wanted to start an account.
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of like from what you've noticed, because I feel like some people when they make an Instagram account, they don't want to make it specific to one city because they might have that mindset that I can't grow
Well,
outside.
I guess a good thing is like Ottawa is like the first commonality that we have. Other people that live in Ottawa will be like, oh, maybe I should check this out. Whereas if you're starting out broad right away, it's going to be harder to connect with people.
Yeah. And how have you noticed them when you post content, like when you go on these press tours or you travel outside of Ottawa? How does that content resonate with your audience? Because it's not something like they have easy access to, like just driving like 45 minutes to go to this museum or something like that. It's a little different if you're in Asia. It's not like an easy thing for them to do.
It goes really well. Like even St. John, I think it's about 11-hour drive away. That posted really well because I was posting about this cool moonlight bazaar that they had. Because I think the thing about my account too is like getting out and exploring. So then maybe getting people outside of their comfort zone. Maybe they didn't explore Ottawa that much, and then maybe the next step would be an international travel that they could take the recommendations from.
And then what about your other social media accounts? Kind of talk about those a little bit. How do you use Twitter? Like, is it a big piece of your strategy or?
No, I feel like Twitter is that account. Like when I do the workshops, I always say like, if you have it, great. But like I wouldn't worry about starting one because it's not. I don't think it's necessary to social strategy anymore. And like Instagram is like the happy place, the nice photos. Twitter is like the negative space. Everyone goes to complain, get political, and then Facebook's the in between of those two.
And it's like, why? Like, do you think that Twitter's not an important part of the strategy in 2019?
I think like it takes so much time to post, even just on Instagram and the blog. Like, I think a lot of people spread themselves too thin. Like, you don't need to be on every platform. If you have the resources, then that's awesome. But like, it doesn't have as much return on investment, I guess you could say, especially like for clients as well. Like it's nice to have, but like how do you find it?
It depends on how you use it, I think.
Yeah.
I think Twitter's this really cool space where I feel like not as many people use it as any of the other platforms. So for someone like me and with what I do with the podcast, I think Twitter's cool because sometimes you can access people with bigger followings and more like celebrity, quote unquote celebrity, because not as many people follow them on Twitter and engage with them on Twitter. So like I can reply to some people on Twitter and I'll get replies. And it's just like, but if I were to engage them on Instagram, maybe not.
Yeah,
so that's kind of just an interesting point. Is like Twitter, I almost view it as more of like, that's almost like a networking platform to an extent. Like I'm not trying to like go viral or get tons of likes on my tweets. I don't tweet enough anyways. Yeah, just kind of observe and engage and just kind of try and interact with those bigger name people that will get 400 comments on Instagram, but will get 4 replies to their tweet.
Yeah, I like that. It's I heard on a podcast a long time ago about how you should go where other people aren't. So everyone's using Instagram now. So I'm on a blog and I'm putting so much effort into the blog. Like, because the problem with Instagram and the algorithm is that there's so much noise now. The reason people aren't seeing your posts is you're trying to break through the clutter. So if less people are on Twitter, you have less competition to get your stuff out there. Yeah,
that's true. And what about Facebook? I know you said like your engagement, you're noticing it's going really far down. Like, what's your strategy
Facebook
there?
has been pretty decent, I'd say. Like, because the good thing is like people can share the blog post straight from there. So I just wanted something in Ottawa that did really well. Like so many people were sharing it, like sending it in messages. So that was good to see.
Yeah. And then now that you've done the face reveal, do you think that there's ever a point down the line somewhere where you start a YouTube channel, maybe do some travel vlogs or something like that?
So I do want to start a YouTube channel. I'm doing a videography class right now, but it's a lot of work. So that's been the biggest thing holding me back. I feel like I'm so familiar with Ottawa too. It's such a great place to learn because I know the good places to go for sunset. I know all the different places.
And then so like how far along are you in this videography course?
I'm about halfway through.
Okay.
It's tough because I'm trying to do it on top of everything else. So I think even just keeping up to date with Instagram and Facebook and all the changes is a lot. So
like as soon as that course ends, do you think you'll try like making your first one just to see how it goes? Or like when do you really see that you kind of trying to implement Instagram into your strategy? Or not Instagram, sorry. YouTube.
Probably in the next few months. I also think IGTV would be good to be on because the thing is like anytime a platform releases something new, they're going to favor you if you use it. So a lot of the IGTV is showing up in people's feeds because they're like, let's push this.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's make this a thing.
Like I've gone through and I've just looked at, I think it was Gary Vee's account, and I'll look at videos he posts that are under a minute, and then I'll look at the videos he posts from IGTV that are over a minute. And the views on his IGTV like double, triple what he gets on his regular videos.
It's a good time to be on it.
And even like I don't know if like I listen to Pat Flynn. He has the Passive Income podcast, or the Smart Passive Income podcast, and he posted a screenshot one day. Like his video on YouTube has 5,000 views, and his IGTV, which is the exact same one, just sized differently, of course, for IGTV. And on YouTube, he got like 5,000 views, and he got like 20,000 views on IGTV. It's just interesting to see just like how Instagram's really trying to push that platform because they're trying to win with video right now.
Yeah.
So that's like definitely an opportunity, I would say, is IGTV.
I think so too. I would probably post them on YouTube and IGTV because I think YouTube as well would be hard to push through the clutter now.
Yes.
Not clutter, but it's harder for people to watch your video and stay there. So we'll see. But it's all a learning experience too. Like a big thing with Little Miss Ottawa is I was working full time when I first started it, so I would trial things on my account that I could use for work because I worked in marketing. Yeah.
And speaking of like going to places people aren't, I was curious if you use Snapchat at all still, like, or do you kind of think that platform is dying a little bit?
I briefly tried it for like a month, but the thing is, then Instagram started the Instagram stories, and the reason I stopped on Snapchat was it just wasn't like, how am I going to build this, and then it's just so much work to put it across platforms. I'm like, I should just focus on Instagram.
And then what about, like, I always ask people this, especially because it's really starting to blow up now, and I know it's probably not the most ideal platform to fit into your current strategy, but TikTok, is it something you're kind of looking at, you're observing a little
so
bit?
I just downloaded it yesterday because my little cousins, when I went to visit them in New York, they were all about TikTok and showing me all these videos, and it's more like, I won't necessarily post on it, but I just want to get familiar with it. I want to see what's out there because, especially for the clients that I work with, I need to be up to date on everything.
So like, what are your kind of takeaways just from the beginning on TikTok? Like I myself am similar to you. Like I downloaded it a long time ago, but I've only recently started to kind of just like poke around on it and see what it works. Like kind of reminds me of Vine a little bit, but then there's the singing aspect.
I still need to explore it on my phone, but from what they showed me, it kind of made me think of Vine. So you never know if like an idea might pop into your head for it. But
there's a couple other social trends I kind of run by you, get your opinion on. The first one being stories over feed. Like, how are you noticing consumption of your Instagram feed posts versus your story posts? Because there was a report that came out that said story consumption is going to surpass feed consumption, and people are going to spend more time using the Instagram story feature than Instagram feed. So like, what is your story strategy, and what are you kind of noticing?
I'd agree with that because I think you kind of get sucked into the stories. Like you just, because it's next. I haven't I'll on my feed it'll be like the main thing. So if I was posting about swimming, it'd be like where I went swimming, and then the stories would be like kind of like a behind the scenes. You can kind of, for clients, I always tell them like, if a photo's not good enough for your feed, put it in your stories because you can still promote it. It doesn't have to be as visually appealing in your stories. It can be more raw.
That's what I've seen too. Like I feel like people almost react better to feeds if it's not like a polished graphic or a polished photo. Like I feel like if it's that raw reel taken from your phone thing, like people almost enjoy that more and they consume it better. I'm
really conscious of editing. Like I wouldn't want to over edit, and I would hate if somebody saw one of my photos and went to see it in person and they're like, this looks nothing like what she posted. Yeah,
that's fair. And then what about Instagram removing likes?
I think it's awesome personally because I think like there's all the conversation about like Instagram making people feel bad, affecting their mental health. So I'm hoping that the likes people will continue to keep putting out content that they enjoy and like stop doing things for the likes. Because if you're posting about the same thing over again about the likes, but now you kind of, the pressure is off, I suppose. And from a brand perspective, I mean, anytime you work with a brand, you have to send in your analytics after, so I'm not too worried about that. I think reach will be a more important statistic to send after.
Yeah. From what I heard, like Instagram is slowly like starting to decrease reach a little bit too, kind of similar. It's like where Facebook is now, it's like slowly kind of trending towards that direction I've seen. Yeah. Is that something you're kind of noticing too, like your reach on Instagram is going down a little bit?
Not a ton, like maybe for some posts. But I think the other thing too is that because everyone's like, why did they ever switch it from chronological? But there's so many users that you would be scrolling forever. Like you would only ever see 5 p.m. on your feed if it was chronological. So just trying different strategies so people see my content. But like I can always tell like and sometimes what I think will perform well like blows up. So you never know.
And then do you think Instagram, because you talked about earlier how it's getting cluttered, everybody's on it. Do you think it's almost at the point now where it's at maturity and it's going to slowly start to decline as a platform?
So.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot of things, like the likes, and like a lot of people are taking time away from Instagram as well because it's like it made them feel crappy. They're spending too much time on it. So they want their time on Instagram to be more mindful, so it's even more important that your posts attract them. But I think that's why my blog is good as well. Like, you don't even have to go to my Instagram to get these resources some of the time. And just being able to reach people, like take a screenshot and then go offline.
Yeah. That's actually perfect though, how you said like people can go to your blog instead of your Instagram because they can get most of the things there. Do you think that we're going to see a lot more people start to kind of de-platform and really try and do their own websites and different things? This is kind of a big trend with YouTube I've seen, where a lot of like YouTubers will kind of stop going on YouTube and they'll post on their own website and make like a subscription based thing. Like, do you think we're going to start to see more people do that?
I don't think so, because I think Instagram, it's like the blog takes so much work, but Instagram's easier. But the website also plays into the go where people aren't. Like, everyone was gravitating towards websites, so I'm like, I'm gonna build one.
Yeah. And what about influencer marketing? Like, we kind of talked about how it's worked for you, but are there any industry trends or things that you kind of predict over the next couple of years?
That one's tough. Like, I find more and more people reaching out to work with people in Ottawa, because it was Toronto and Montreal that were the main markets, and now it's slow. Like, Ottawa's a little bit slower to get things. It's changing so rapidly, and I think people are working with like a wide variety of people now. Like, you don't need the 500,000 followers, and it's actually more beneficial for your brand to work with someone with a lower count, because it's probably more niche, more like easier to access people that you actually want to market to.
And the next question, perfect answer, like an acceptable answer is no, but are there any other trends or different things in social media that kind of have your attention right now or you're keeping an eye on?
Oh, other trends. It's not a trend, but I think it's something that brands should do, is they should do their due diligence and look at someone's account before they work with them, because I think a lot of times I see someone will say that they have, this person has a high following, so I should work with them. But that's not necessarily the case. Like who is your target market? Like, are you trying to reach people in Ottawa? Are you trying to reach people in Toronto? Like, you should look at their analytics. Like, unfortunately, like, buying followers is a thing. But if you do a Google search, you can find a quick thing that you can vouch people on. I've had to sign contracts before that say, like, I don't buy followers, I don't use any of those engagement platforms, and I think more brands should do that, because otherwise it's kind of just throwing away money.
And like, I feel like buying followers, I feel like it's kind of lost some prominence. Like, I feel like it was like a lot of people doing it, and some people still do it today, but I feel like it's not as big an issue as it used to be. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's kind of like I still
do see it. The problem with it too is that it's like, if people find out, it has a very negative effect. Like, it's not even worth it.
Yeah. And what about those engagement apps? Because like, I've heard people arguing on both sides. Like, yeah, they're bad, don't use them. Instagram is like when you use them, but other people say like they're good because it's not like I'm buying followers or anything. I'm just engaging with people to kind of introduce them to my platform, and I'm not really doing anything unethical. So like, where do you land on that debate? I wouldn't recommend them, because it, like, Instagram has come out and said you will be penalized for this. But the other thing too is that, so one account that kept reposting my photos, like a third of their account was my photos. And I was like reporting them to Instagram, like, please take these down. I would comment on their photos, like, take down my photos, they didn't give you permission, and they would just always like my comment. That's because they were using an engagement bot. And if the engagement bot is writing on people's photos like, cool, awesome, nice, like, that looks really bad too, because that looks like you bought your engagement. Yeah, true. That's fair. That's kind of interesting though. Yeah, I just kind of feel like I've heard people argue both sides, and like, it's all some people say I only like people's photos, like I don't leave comments with it, but I think
I guess like I manually go in and like people's photos, but that's also better too. Like, it takes more time, but then if you leave a thoughtful comment on someone's photo, then it starts that conversation, and maybe they'll come and they'll feel comfortable posting on one of your photos later on. And also for me, it's good to just see what's happening in Ottawa. Like, maybe there's a cool event I missed that I can go to next year.
That's kind of something, I do something similar to that. Like, I'll go to people's accounts and I'll like a couple photos, but like I feel like when people just like 3 of my photos and they don't do anything, I know that that's them just trying to come to my account to get me to follow them.
Yeah.
So what I've started doing to kind of separate myself is I will go to the person's account and I'll find like something interesting about it or something I want to talk to them about, and I'll like send them a direct message.
Yeah.
Because even though like it'll go to their requests folder, like it's not like everyone has tons of DMs coming in all the time. So when they see a request, they'll click on it and check it out. So that's kind of my way to try to stand out a little bit. I've been trying
just
that.
Start that conversation and like I had somebody. I posted something the other day and they're like, I've been a long time follower but first time commenter, and I'm like feel free to comment anytime, like I'm nice.
And what about, like you've mentioned a couple times now, you've started working for yourself over the last year and a bit or so. So when did you decide to take that leap into working for yourself, and like why did you do that?
I was listening to podcasts like all day every day. And it had always been something I'd been kind of playing with, because like it wasn't probably until about like 2 years into my account that people, like the contracts with brands were becoming more serious. So then a year and a half ago I was like, okay, you know what, like I need to give this a chance on its own. Like I don't have enough time to work full time and do this, so I need to choose a path. And I always thought the worst thing that'll happen is I'll fail. I don't think so, because I'm already making income from it, but I just need to give it this chance to fully grow. And it was the best decision I could have made, because I was able to fully put all my energy into that and then my own clients.
So like, how have you found getting clients then? Like, is it hard to do? Is it easy to do? Do you use Little Miss Ottawa as like I know what I'm doing, like this is my experience type thing, or how do you go about finding clients?
So it's all been word of mouth. Like they've all found me through Little Miss Ottawa, which is good too, because as soon as they message me, like they already, like I've proven that I know what I'm talking about, so then they already kind of know that they want to work with me. So it's been really awesome that way. I'll probably start being a little bit more vocal that I do that, but it's all been a learning process.
And then so for the most part, like your clients, it's all social media related?
Yeah, for the most part. Like I also, because I used to work in like just as like the one woman marketing firm, like I did everything, like events, media, so I help with a bunch of things.
That's pretty cool though. Do you ever see a point where Little Miss Ottawa is your full-time and like your number one priority?
I don't think so, just because I think it's important to have different revenue streams. Like I was always very conscious. Like I saved up probably a year's salary before I went on my own, because I never wanted to be in the position where I had to say yes to a contract for money. I don't think that's a good place to be in. Like especially like you might have to take a contract that goes against what you believe in, and like it's never worth it. Like the brand trust is so important. So I think it's good to diversify. Yeah.
So how do you find balancing it then between having your own company and the blog and everything? Like how has that been?
This one good. It's still a lot. Like I feel like I have my hours haven't changed. I'm still working the same hours of when I went full time in Little Miss Ottawa, but it's been really good. And I think even just probably anyone that started working for themselves can probably relate to just the first year is the hardest, because you're going through everything for the first time, and like you wear so many hats, like accountant, bookkeeper, sales. Yeah.
And so what is your advice into people that are kind of like on the fence, like whether they want to jump in and do their own thing or they should just stick to the 9 to 5? Like what's your advice?
Like I would say save up money. So you need that buffer. Like if you didn't make income for a few months, like you're going to be okay. And then also like, are you already making money from whatever your side hustle is? Like if you are, then it's probably a good indicator that you can go on your own. And then again, like the worst thing that'll happen is you'll fail, but you won't look back in 10 years and be like, I should have done that when I thought of it.
Yeah. That's cool. And then like marketing's always been something that you've been doing like as a career. Like I noticed some people that go on their own and try and do the social media consulting stuff like that. It's like they'll grow a bit of a following and they'll be like, oh, I should just consult on it because I have a big following. Yeah. But you also bring like a full marketing background, right? Like you went to school for it and everything too, right?
Yeah, and I used to be the marketing manager for the Bank Street BIA. So yeah, I've been working in marketing for a really long time. Like even when I was in university, like I did internships and stuff like that. So have a lot of experience.
One thing I was curious about that I saw, I honestly can't remember where I saw this, but you doubled attendance at Carleton Raven football games by doing some form of marketing campaign.
Oh yeah, so it was basketball.
Oh, basketball. Okay.
Yeah, so that was probably like my first big experience of social media, because we were in, I think it was marketing communications, and we had the opportunity to do a campaign for the Carleton Ravens. So what we did was we created a Facebook event and invited like as many people as we could, and then we got them to invite their friends and just kept growing. And then we told everybody to say yes. Like I was like, I don't care if you're coming or not, just say yes, because we just want to build that like indicator that like the game's gonna be really popular. So we were able to, I think attendance went from like 735 to like 1,400.
Okay.
And capacity was 1,500, and that was just with one event. And we were tweeting at the mayor, like, can you retweet? Like, all these prominent people in Ottawa. That was probably the first time I was like, okay, social media can really make an impact. And it was free. Like, we didn't have to pay anything.
Yeah, that's really cool though. That's kind of like where you really first got your start, and then you were able to double attendance at the game. Because I feel like with like youth sports in Canada, like it's not like the States where everyone goes to the games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and our team is what's like they're still so good, but it was like pulling teeth to get people to go. So just getting them to see that this is a really cool experience and building that demand through Facebook. And it was cool too. Like the Facebook event did really well, but to see it translate positively into sales was awesome.
I don't think I could have you on the podcast without asking you about travel, kind of as a whole.
Yeah.
So, like, how many countries would you say you've been to so
17.
far? 17? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any of, like, your favorite destinations that you've been to?
So Australia had the biggest impact, but I also loved Nicaragua.
Okay.
The people there were just so kind and friendly. Like Thailand was just amazing. Bali, really loved Greece. I think each one has its own special experience and charm.
Is there anywhere you haven't been yet that you're like, I have to go there?
Oh, so many places. My list is always growing. I'm hoping to go to Colombia in January.
Cool. That'll be interesting.
I did a bunch of travel through Central America, so I want to do South America.
Yeah. Do you have any crazy travel stories? Like, I'm always interested to hear
travel
stories.
Oh, so many. So when I was this is probably the craziest, and like this, I was in Australia and we paid extra to go on this sailing trip through the Whitsundays because I wanted to do the Great Barrier Reef. Like, couldn't go to Australia and not do it. Anyways, there was a cyclone or something in Indonesia, and we were getting bad winds as a result of that. And our boat started tipping back and forth, and it started getting more violent. And you could tell that the crew was getting stressed out. So I was like, this is just a bad situation. And it ended up turning all the way to one side, and we started sliding down the boat like in Titanic. So it straightened up. We grabbed something. I just remember thinking, like, why did I do this? Like, this was so silly. Like, this is it. We're in the middle of the ocean. Eventually they got the sails in. Like, they needed so much help from people on the boat. And then we went to shore. I was like, we were all so shaken. Like, what just happened?
That's crazy.
It was, oh man. And then they're like, all right, who wants to go diving now? I almost didn't go because I was just like, I need to process this, but like we still went because I was like, I can't, like, this is why I'm on this boat, is to do the Great Barrier Reef. Like, I have to do it.
Yeah. Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, they're good.
But I'm always curious too, like, as to what people are like consuming content wise. And we kind of talked beforehand, you listen to podcasts. So is it mainly podcasts? Do you like watch different YouTubers or some certain Instagrammers you like to follow? What kind of content are you consuming?
I follow like a ton of travel Instagrammers. Just because I'm interested in where they're going, and also just they have the most incredible photos and videos. And then I love podcasts. Like, I feel like my week is always better when I listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
And that too is a good tool to help me quit my job, because I was able to hear from like some of the greatest minds in the world that I would never have the opportunity to speak to, but just hearing their stories and how they navigated the problems and situations that I was in.
Yeah, I know you told me kind of beforehand, but do you have any like recommendations for ones people should check out?
Yeah. So I listen to School of Greatness a lot because he interviews like so many incredible people and people that I probably wouldn't check out otherwise. And I always listen for like that one little tidbit of like, I needed to hear that. Earn Your Happy was a good one because she interviews a lot of people in business and in life, and like she works for herself now and just navigating that water. Gary Vee, those are like the main ones.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then what about, this is always a difficult question to explain, but like things in culture that kind of have your attention right now. Like an example is like when I asked that question beforehand, someone said like they're just fascinated watching how like Gen Z and even like the generation kind of below that, or just how they're fascinated with like label clothes, like Supreme and different things like that, and how they're just so fascinated by like brand names. Is there anything, that's just like one example, is there anything like in culture like we as a society do that you're kind of interested in?
Something I'm really mindful of right now is I think social media can be a blessing and a curse. Like I think a lot of people are having, like a lot of younger people are growing up with social media. It's like even my younger sister, 5 years younger than me, like you can tell the difference in how social media affects me and her. So I'm always mindful in my posting. Like I would never want someone to look at my content and then feel bad after. Like I really truly hope it empowers them to do stuff. when I was at the TELUS conference in Vancouver, a big thing they were talking about was TELUS Wise. So it's an initiative for tech for good. So like positive tech use and social media use, like don't let it consume your life. Because I think it can be good and bad. So it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately.
Yeah, I definitely think social media, it's all, you get out what you put into it, right? Like if you're looking for the good and the positive sides of social media, I think you'll find it. But if you go into it with the mindset of like just everything sucks, like you'll find the negative and the bad parts of social media.
Yeah, like I hope people go onto it and like they find their pocket of the internet that's like, it should make you feel good. Like if it's not, then you should unfollow people and just you should curate a feed that you like going through.
I think that's one thing too, is like really one thing I've been focusing on a lot lately is like creating a feed, like consuming my content with intention, because like I just caught myself mindlessly scrolling so often that I was like, I gotta fix this. Like I've slowly started maybe unfollowing people here and there, and just people that like I just don't like gain value from. Important. And I'm really trying to like do that, like you said, like comment on people's posts, like is really take the time to like read people's content that they're putting out, like actually engage with it and comment and different things. And I just think that's just a better way to use it than just mindlessly scrolling all the time. Yeah,
I'm trying, like it's been difficult and it's always a learning experience, but I'm trying to limit my time on it so that the time that I do spend on social media is mindful and important. And the other thing too is I think people forget that it is a tool for connection. So the commenting is good because like there's been so many people that I've met through social media like I wouldn't have met otherwise. So use it as a tool for good and a tool for connection.
Yeah. And so what's next for you? What do you got coming up?
So we just ended 2 press trips. So August I'm just kind of taking a month to enjoy summer. So I'll just be posting about Ottawa and then probably just plan the rest of the year and then finish that videography class.
Yeah. And it's like long term, what are some like long term goals you're kind of focused on?
Long term goals I guess would probably be building the client side more and then finishing the videography class, and then Pinterest is something that I would like to play with more. It was something I loved using before Australia. Like I would make pin boards for things I wanted to do on my trip. And then I kind of ended that, but I feel like that's becoming a good platform to drive people to your blog.
Yeah, no, I've heard that too, that Pinterest is really good for that.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I ask everyone kind of the same standard questions.
Okay.
First one being, you're going to dinner and you can take anybody. You can take 3 people, dead or alive. Who would you take to dinner?
3 people.
3 people.
Tony Robbins. I saw him when he came to Ottawa, and he just like will like set you straight. Like this is what you need to do. Like I always feel so inspired after listening to him. I probably honestly pick podcast people like right now. Like probably like Lewis Howes and Lori Hart, or like all the podcasts I listen to, because I think all those people had such a crucial role in where I am now. And just like hearing their experiences, like I would love to be in one of their masterminds. I think that would be like the people that you would meet and the things you would learn in it. Like one big thing is you don't know what you don't know, so you hear that from somebody that you're like, what, this happens?
Yeah. What is some of the best advice that you've ever been given?
So my mom, when I was younger, she would always say it's important to be a lifelong learner. And that's something that's always stuck with me. Like I think I have always been very curious, and I've been really proactive in learning things myself. Like even in university when I did the Ravens thing, like that was extracurricular, me doing something on my own. Especially working in social media and marketing, everything's changing so rapidly that you really do have to stay on top of it, and it's your job to see what's happening with the platforms and trial different things. I think people get a little bit too comfortable, but it's important that you're always putting yourself outside the box and pushing the boundaries.
When your alarm goes off in the morning, what motivates you to get up and out of bed?
New experiences, I think. And also when you have that vision of like what you want to do, like what you want to accomplish that day, or like the one thing you want to do that day, that month, that year.
What's one thing about you people would not expect?
That they wouldn't expect. That's tough. I always wonder what people, like what their perception of me is, because I don't really post that many details. Like I hope that they get from my account that I'm like a really positive, outgoing person. Like I'm always trying to push myself out of my comfort zone. So I just wonder if that translates onto my account. I hope it does.
What's one thing that's so important everybody needs to know?
I guess I've said it before, but like push yourself outside your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Like as uncomfortable as it is, those are the times when you learn the most. Like going off on my own has been terrifying at times. Like I felt so uncomfortable, but I wouldn't change it for anything. And on a podcast I heard like you need to go where the fear is. So not put yourself in risky situations, but you need to go where you're scared, and then that soon is going to feel like nothing. You're going to be on to the next thing, and it doesn't matter how old you are. That's always something you have to do in life.
Yeah. This is usually the last question, but I have one extra last question that's particular for you. But This question is, if you had like a crystal ball and you could get the answer to anything, like what is one question you'd want to know the answer to?
I'd probably ask like, what should my next step be?
Mm-hmm.
I started working with a business coach because it's, especially when you're working on your own, I think that's so important to just pull the thoughts out of your head and have that next path on where you're supposed to go.
Mm-hmm. So for the last question, why should people come and visit Ottawa?
There's so much. Like there's something, I remember when I was in Melbourne on exchange, I'd ask people what to do and they would say, well, it depends on what you're into. And I didn't understand it because I was like, in Ottawa, if you ask for something to do, I'd be able to tell you everything. But now I feel like we're at the point where if someone comes, I'm always like, what are you interested in? Because we have so many different things to do, from the foodie scene, adventure, nature, architecture. Like there's really something for everyone.
Mm-hmm. I just want to thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Sorry, my dog's been so noisy. He's never been that bad.
No worries.
I just want to give you the floor. Where can the people find you, plug everything and anything that you got right now?
So they can find me on littlemissottawa.com and then at Little Miss Ottawa across social.
Awesome. I'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below.
Yay, perfect. Yeah, feel free to connect with me, everyone.
And I want to thank you once again for coming on the podcast. And I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. Whether you've listened the entire way through, you've only listened to bits and pieces, I really appreciate you taking time to check this out. Do me a favor, guys, go and follow Little Miss Ottawa on everything. I'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below, like I said. And if you'd like to follow me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @thejacobkelly. Come and say hello. And if you'd like to follow the podcast, just search up My Social Life and we'll come up. Thank you once again for listening, everybody. We'll talk soon.